Welcome back to Flick Favorites. I'm going to explain a crime, mystery, thriller film from 2022 titled The Weekend Away. Spoilers ahead. Enjoy the content. When a woman by the name of Beth hails a cab from Zane, a driver who her friend Kate had sent. Zane graciously gives her his card after leaving her off in case she needs help while she is there. Beth is in Croatia with the pals for a 2-weekend vacation. This is her first time there. Later, Kate joyfully welcomes Beth and shows her around their luxurious Airbnb, which she secretly reserved using her ex-husband Jay's credit card. Beth gives Kate a unique necklace with black onyx stones in appreciation for her efforts in planning their vacation. We observe Kate's grin fading as they embrace passionately, as if she were concealing something. While getting ready for supper later that night, Beth makes a video call to her husband Rob and daughter Astor. After asking Rob how things are going, Kate delivers Beth her first drink. Before cutting off the video conversation, Rob assures the girls that everything is alright and wishes them a good time. They see Sebastian, the eccentric Airbnb's owner, as they exit the building. He welcomes Beth cordially and wishes her a nice stay. In an effort to rob Jay of all his money over dinner, Kate purposefully chooses the most costly items. Here it is revealed that Beth and Rob's marriage is experiencing difficulties and is no longer as exciting as it once was. Although Kate advises Beth to think about obtaining a divorce, Beth is still optimistic that they may resolve their differences. Beth learns from the server that their card has been denied moments later, as Kate is preoccupied with a phone conversation and yelling at the caller to leave her alone. When Kate comes back to the table, she says that Jay was on the phone and that he found out that she had been using his funds. Without wasting any time, the buddies pay the bill in cash and ride in Zane's cab to the club. During this period, Beth learns that Zane is a Syrian who fled his war-torn nation, despite the fact that Beth is an American living in London. Kate starts up a discussion with two men inside the club with the intention of inviting them to her Airbnb. Despite Kate's best efforts, Beth chooses against spending the night with one of the men because she is married. But Kate keeps pleading with her to think twice. The men start to give them drinks as the evening goes on, and the next thing Beth knows, she is waking up the next morning in her bed with just hazy memories of the previous evening. Beth is horrified to discover that her companion has vanished from the house. Her alarm grows when she sees Kate's clothes on the seat and the jacuzzi still running. Beth becomes even more uneasy when she sees blood and pieces of shattered glass on the floor, which indicates that something is wrong. After trying unsuccessfully to reach Kate on the phone all morning, Beth confides her worries to Rob. Inquiring as to whether they had a disagreement, the spouse states that Kate is likely out by herself. Despite her hazy memories, Kate insists they didn't. By asking the proprietor Sebastian about Kate's location, Beth carries on her investigation. When Sebastian wants more money for the 2 male overnight visitors, Beth's position becomes more serious. Beth immediately makes her way to the police station out of concern that these individuals could be implicated. Officer Povich meets her there, but instead of helping, he mocks her and implies that Kate, who is intoxicated, could have left her for other men. When Kovac, a more helpful cop, enters the room and notices Beth's anxiety, he starts interrogating her. Kovac is eager to assist, but Povich insists on taking the case on his own. Beth is forced to take matters into her own hands because she is unable to make an official missing persons report because it hasn't been 24 hours since Kate vanished. The woman decides to ask Zane about the club after leaving the police station. Zane invites Beth to the club as soon as he learns of Kate's absence so she may start her inquiry. Zane confronts the bartender when he denies knowing anything about the guys or even Beth's appearance the night before. The bartender ultimately admits that the men are Matteo and Luca, 2 escorts who attend the club and amuse visitors. Given that Kate said Beth needed to get out of her rut, Beth surmises that she must have hired them at this point. Later that night, when Beth phones Rob once more, he assures her that Kate leaving her to hang out with boys is nothing new and that she shouldn't be concerned. Beth still believes that something happened to Kate because she hasn't answered to any messages, so she cancels her trip for the following day because she wants to find her friend rather than leave her in this tough situation. The escorts are happily discovered when she conducts a social media search for the club the next day. Then, Beth begs Zane for assistance in setting up a meeting with them. She confides in Zane about her relationship with Kate and how she met Rob while they wait for them, and Zane tells Beth about the wife he lost in the battle. The escorts suddenly appear as they are conversing and leave the area quickly after spotting Beth's face. Fortunately, Zane is able to catch one of the escorts, who admits to having been hired by Kate but doesn't know where she is right now. He stole Kate's suitcase that evening, which is what led to his initial flight. Beth wonders whether she was drugged that night, but the man says he had nothing to do with it. Beth decides to go to the police station and ask for help. In order to safeguard Zane's visa status, she agrees not to divulge his name. She notifies Officer Kovac of another missing person complaint, this time involving Beth, and reprimands Povich for failing to perform his duty. Angered by Povich's previous carelessness, Kovac gives him the order to check the police database for the identities of the escorts. When she asks about the pricey branded bag Beth had earlier collected, Beth makes up a tale about threatening the escort in order to get them to give the item back. Kovac requests a medical examination for Beth, the results of which should be available in 24 hours, since she worries if Beth could have been abused. Beth is in a state of worry when she learns that Sebastian is packing up her possessions in her room because her time at the hotel is up. He gently offers her a smaller room inside his house at a discounted rate due to her persistent concerns over Kate's absence, which Beth gladly accepts. Kate charges her dead phone and ultimately drifts off to sleep. Beth discovers Kate's phone locked with a facial recognition function when she wakes up in the middle of the night. She runs into Sebastian as she exits her room. He continues to have an unusual demeanor and informs her that he is a composer with a recording studio in the property. Beth chooses to leave the premises in search of Kate with the help of Zane when Sebastian expresses his willingness to have supper with her. But before she can go, Beth gets a surprise visit from Rob, who came all the way from London since he had been unable to get in touch with her for a day. With Zane gone, Beth and Rob get into a furious dispute about her decision to put her confidence in a taxi driver. Rob soothes Beth after noticing her anguish and pays close attention to the tale as it develops. Beth receives a terrible phone call from the police station in the middle of their chat. When Beth recognizes Kate's lifeless body that has been found in the water, she is unable to contain her cries of sadness. Before determining whether it was a murder or an accident, the authorities must do an autopsy. The next morning, Rob regrets not being more cordial with Kate since he found her unpleasant. He considers staying longer, but Beth would rather that he return to London and look after his kid while she finishes up here. The autopsy report reveals a day later that Kate was actually killed. Beth begs Officer Povich to let her say her last goodbye to Kate while crying. Beth takes advantage of the chance to use Kate's phone's face recognition feature to unlock it as Povich waits outside. She enters the restroom after unlocking the door and begins frantically looking around for any possible proof. Beth examines the phone logs and finds that Handyman, a contact, has made several missed calls. When Rob's voicemail message meets her, she is completely taken aback. As a result, she proceeds to the text messages, where she learns that Rob and Kate had been dating for months. Kate's final texts to Rob are puzzling since she first urges him to drop Beth before requesting that he cease messaging her. When she gets home, she is horrified to see Zane in her room. His driving records revealed that he was on duty all night during the time of the murder, thus the police were forced to let him go. Zane also discusses how he saved the life of a little kid. However, the boy's father had ties to an Albanian people smuggling organization, and he assisted Zane in leaving his country, obtaining a visa. Later that day, when thinking about how the police found out about Rob's affair, she recalls that Povich had given Sebastian his business card. When Beth starts searching the space, she ultimately finds a concealed camera that was deftly hidden within a mirror and presumably captured her talk with Jay and Rob. She must leave her room out of curiosity in order to take Sebastian's studio keys. Beth enters the strange man's private studio and notices several monitors as he leaves the home. She is shocked to learn that Sebastian planted hidden cameras throughout the whole facility, including the restrooms, exposing his perverse nature. Beth ultimately sees the events of the murderous night as she watches the video. Surprisingly, it turns out that Kate put her on the bed when she became very drunk and then went outside to have fun with the lads. As soon as she stopped paying attention, the lads took Kate's suitcase and quietly left the home. When Kate quickly intervened after learning about the theft, a glass accidentally cracked, leaving her with a gushing foot cut. She stepped outside the home without giving it any thought in order to follow the lads in a cab. She afterwards drove back to her house in a separate car and yelled at someone. Beth is writing the car plate numbers when Sebastian surprises her by showing there. Sebastian explains that the video system is a security measure because people do terrible things when renting, but Beth isn't persuaded and immediately smashes the door into his head to leave the property. Beth steps in to stop Sebastian from deleting the evidence, which causes Sebastian to fall backwards and briefly lose consciousness. After stealing his keys, Beth leaves the building and runs into Zane outside. Zane follows Beth to the taxi rank so he may find out where Kate was that fatal night. Beth and Zane locate the taxi driver using the key information about the car's license plate, and he admits that he transported Kate to the police station after losing sight of the guys they were pursuing. Because there was no complaint of Beth's bag being taken with the police, Beth is perplexed by this. She then recalls that Povich failed to report her own theft as well. Sadly, Beth's image is now prominently featured in the news as a murder suspect, leading a local person to call the police. Beth is startled to see that the automobile Povich is driving is the same one Kate used to leave. Beth confides her concerns about Povich to Zane as they are hiding from the police in an abandoned building. Beth makes a daring getaway with the intention of contacting her attorney while Zane diverts the police's attention. But in the middle, Povich spots her and pursues her to a building's top, where she is captured. Because Kate rejected his advances when he offered them that night after receiving her report, Beth suspects him of murdering Kate. Kovac steps in just as Povich tries to attack the woman. This causes him to fall fatally from a great height, which finally brings about his death. Officer Kovac wraps up her investigation after a few days and apologizes to Beth for falsely suspecting her of the crime. According to the CCTV evidence, Povich left Kate off at the flat before a guy pushed her into the water close to the shore. Many female street workers had accused Povich of assaulting them when he used to work in the vice section, but during the inquiry, the women recanted their claims, perhaps because Povich had intimidated them. With tears in her eyes, Beth gets her passport and gives Zane one more passionate hug, thanking him for his constant empathy and support. Days go by, and Beth still keeps in touch with Zane, her best friend. Additionally, even though she and Rob are no longer together, Rob still longs for a second chance, and Beth is not willing to let him harm her once again. While dropping off Astor at Rob's house, Beth is looking for her vehicle keys when she comes upon something that really shocks her. She finds one of the black onyx stones from Kate's necklace in Rob's pocket, which makes her think he could be the perpetrator. She instantly contacts Officer Kovac, meaning to tell him everything, as she is overcome with terror and horror. Before she can finish telling the full tale, Rob interrupts and asks what's going on. Beth ultimately confronts him with Kate's murder at this point. Rob, who was at first in denial, finally admits that it was an accident and that he had traveled to Croatia to see Kate. He defends himself by saying that he wanted to stop her from telling anyone the truth about their connection. He had tried calling her, but she had not returned his calls, so he felt obligated to approach her face to face. According to Rob, Kate begged him to leave Beth and confessed her love for him. However, as Rob explains things, an alternative story that describes what actually happened on the murderous night is revealed. Rob spoke to Kate, hoping she would accept his feelings for her and that he could make her see them. The truth was that Kate regretted their connection and wanted to terminate it. When she made the decision to be honest with Beth, Rob became enraged and punched her, breaking Kate's jewelry. As a result, Kate slipped and struck her head on the rocks before falling into the sea. Rob urges Beth not to inform the police because the matter has been resolved, but it's too late because Beth had Kovac on the line the entire time and heard everything. Beth quickly knocks Rob out of commission with a powerful kick to the crotch, putting him helpless as he redirects his wrath against her. As the film comes to a close, Beth and Astor leave the house in search of safety as police cars are seen driving up to detain Rob for the murder of Kate. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to stay updated on future videos. Leave a like to support the channel.